The bus lurches violently as rain explodes against the windows, the city outside dissolving into streaks of gray. A sharp voice slices through the chaos. Move. Amara James tightens her grip on the metal pole, knuckles burning white. Bodies crush in from every side. Damp coats, sour breath, morning despair. Then it happens. Someone steps in front of her, a tall Korean man, broad shoulders, still as stone. He places himself between Amara and the crowd without asking, without looking at her. Like her safety is an obligation, not a favor. He doesn't meet her eyes. He doesn't speak again. When the bus jerks, his arm shifts just enough to brace her. Subtle, controlled, protective. Amara's pulse stumbles, not from fear, but from the unsettling realization that someone noticed her without demanding anything in return. Then she sees it, a small hand gripping the edge of his coat. A child, half hidden, watching her. The man catches her glance. His jaw tightens. Don't, he murmurs, not a plea, a warning. The bus screeches to a stop. Doors hiss open, passengers spill out. The man steps down into the rain. And the seat he always takes is suddenly empty. The next morning, that empty seat will unravel everything. Subscribe to Love and Loyalties before the truth changes everything. The seat stays empty. Amara notices it before the bus even stops, her eyes moving on instinct to the place she pretends not to care about. The same metal frame. The same windows streaked with rain. But no broad shoulders. No quiet shield. The bus jolts forward, and this time no one steps in front of her. A man's elbow digs into her ribs. Someone curses when she stumbles. The crowd presses harder than usual, impatient, careless. Amara tightens her grip and tells herself not to be ridiculous. It was nothing. Just a stranger. Just a commute. But her body doesn't believe the lie. The next day, the seat is still empty. And the day after that. By the fourth morning, the absence feels louder than conversation. The bus feels sharper. More dangerous. She arrives at school already exhausted, like she's spent energy she doesn't have just staying upright. Inside the building, everything else begins to fray. The remedial reading program she runs is cut without warning. No meeting. No discussion. Just an email filled with polite language and final decisions. Budget realignment. Temporary suspension. She reads it twice, then stares at the screen until the words blur. That afternoon, one of her students comes in late, sleeves pulled down despite the heat. When Amara gently asks her to read aloud, the girl flinches. A bruise blooms purple near her wrist when the fabric shifts. Amara reports it, fills out the forms, watches the administrators nod with practiced concern. Nothing happens fast enough. At home, her phone lights up with her mother's name. She lets it ring. She doesn't have the strength to explain why being strong all the time feels like drowning. On the fifth morning, the bus is so full she can barely breathe. Without thinking, she moves. She slides into the empty seat. The moment she sits, guilt flashes through her, sharp and irrational, like she's crossed an invisible line. The seat is colder than she expects. Her knees brush the edge. She exhales slowly. As the bus rattles forward, something hard taps against her shoe. She looks down. A small plastic card lies half hidden beneath the seat. She picks it up. A library card, worn at the edges. A child's name printed in neat letters. Jian Wu. Her chest tightens. Suddenly, everything makes sense. The backpack always held too carefully, the untouched coffee, the way the man's eyes never fully rested. He wasn't just tired. He was carrying someone. Alone. That afternoon, the school changes. Amara hears it before she sees it. Unfamiliar footsteps, confident, measured. Voices lower. Lauder stiffens. Administrators straighten their backs like pulled strings. A group of men in tailored suits walks down the hallway, shoes echoing against the tile. At their center is one man who doesn't need to speak to command attention. Han Wu. He looks nothing like the man from the bus. His suit fits perfectly. His expression is composed, distant. Power settles on him like a second skin. He listens while others talk, decides without appearing to. Amara learns quickly. His company oversees building contracts, maintenance, funding approvals, futures, her future. During the meeting, she keeps her eyes down. She tells herself she imagined the way his gaze flicks to her, sharp and immediate. Recognition without warmth. Afterward, as teachers file out, a shadow falls across her desk. Amara James. His voice is calm, controlled, the same voice, but stripped of gentleness. They stand alone near the windows. Outside, rain starts again. "You were on the bus," he says. Not a question. Amara nods, heart hammering. "You sat in my seat." "I didn't mean." She stops herself. Straightens. "I found something." She pulls the library card from her bag. Holds it out. For the first time, something shifts behind his eyes. Not fear, calculation. He doesn't take the card. "You didn't see anything," he says quietly. The words land heavy. Final. "I wasn't trying to interfere," she says. "I just thought." "You don't need to think," he interrupts, tone even. "You need to forget." The hallway feels suddenly too narrow. She looks at him then. Really looks. And sees the distance between them. The man who once moved 2 centimeters to make space for her could now erase her with a signature. "I won't tell anyone," she says. "But that's a child." Silence stretches. When he speaks again, his voice is lower. "This building needs repairs," he says. "Budgets are flexible." Her stomach drops. "Is that a threat?" "It's an offer," he replies, meeting her eyes fully now. "Stay where you are. Don't look back, and nothing in your life changes." She steps closer, just enough to remind her of the bus. Of safety, of silence. "Cross that line," he adds softly, "and everything does." He turns and walks away, leaving her standing there with the card burning in her palm, unsure whether she's just been warned or chosen. The first time Amara enters Han Wu's world, it is not by choice. It is by schedule. A mandatory facilities review is announced at the school. Meetings she is suddenly required to attend. Rooms she has never been invited into before. Glass walls. Long tables. Men who speak in numbers instead of names. Han Wu sits at the head. He does not look at her when she enters. Not immediately. He listens while others speak, fingers folded, expression unreadable. When he finally lifts his gaze, it is brief and precise, like checking a fact already known. Professional, distant, untouchable. Yet every time the conversation sharpens. Every time someone suggests cutting another non-essential program. His hand lifts slightly. The room stills. The suggestion disappears. Amara notices. She also notices the way security shifts when she walks near him. The way assistants suddenly know her name. The way access opens without explanation. Protection, again. But this time, it comes with strings. In private, he is colder. "You shouldn't speak in those meetings," he tells her once, tone clipped. "I was answering a question," she replies. "You don't need to answer," he says. "You need to observe." She meets his eyes. "I'm not furniture." Something flashes. Annoyance, maybe respect. It vanishes just as quickly. Their conversations become a quiet negotiation. He sets boundaries. She tests them without raising her voice. He expects gratitude. She offers competence instead. And somehow, against both their intentions, a rhythm forms. The first real crack appears on a Tuesday afternoon. Amara is leaving late when she hears a child laughing down the hallway. Soft. Surprised, like it doesn't belong in a building that usually swallows joy. She turns. Jian stands near the office door, backpack slipping off one shoulder, eyes lighting up when he sees her. "Teacher Amara." The name lands gently. Dangerous. Before she can respond, Han Wu appears behind him, tension etched into every line of his body. "She's not," he starts. "It's okay," Amara says quietly, crouching to Jian's level. "Hi." Jian steps closer, unafraid. He studies her face the way children do, searching for truth without knowing the word for it. "You ride the bus," he says. Amara freezes. Han Wu stiffens. "Jian." "It's okay," she repeats, softer this time. Jian smiles at her like the decision has already been made. From that day on, he looks for her. He waits outside meetings. Leaves drawings on her desk, crayon houses, 3 stick figures standing close. He reaches for her hand without hesitation. Han Wu watches all of it with restrained panic. You're crossing lines, he tells her one evening as they stand alone in the parking garage, concrete echoing around them. I didn't draw the lines, she answers. He did. You don't understand what you're stepping into. She looks at him then, really looks, and sees the exhaustion beneath the control, the fear disguised as authority. Then explain it, she says. He doesn't. Instead, he steps closer, not touching. Never touching. Close enough that she can feel the tension humming between them, tight and unfinished. Stay where I can see you? He says quietly. That's all. It is not a request. And still, she doesn't move away. The moments they share grow heavier, quieter, more dangerous. Coffee that goes cold while they stand in silence. Meetings where their eyes meet and hold too long. The unspoken acknowledgement that something is building without permission. But Amara is not blind. She notices the whispers, the way executives lower their voices when Han Wu enters. The way documents are sealed, rewritten, buried. She hears fragments she isn't meant to hear. One evening, as she turns back for a forgotten notebook, she stops short outside a conference room. The door is cracked open. The timeline doesn't add up. A man says, if the audit opens, everything collapses. Han Wu's voice follows, calm and lethal. Then it doesn't open. And the child. Another asks, if anyone connects him to. Silence. Then Han Wu speaks again, slower this time. No one connects anything, he says. That debt was paid. Amara's breath catches. Debt. Paid with what? She steps back quietly, heart pounding. The truth pressing in on her from all sides. Han Wu is not just protecting himself. He is protecting a lie big enough to crush everything in its path, including her, including Jian. She turns and walks away, her chest tight. One thought burning brighter than the rest. The man who makes space for her may be standing on ground that isn't real at all. And when it breaks, he will take everyone down with him. The truth doesn't arrive gently. It arrives as headlines whispered through hallways, as meetings cancelled without explanation, as security standing where it never stood before. Amara feels it before she understands it. The air thickening, the careful order around Han Wu beginning to crack. She hears his name spoken differently now, not with fear, with hunger. By noon, the rumors reach her desk. A sealed investigation reopened, a past incident reclassified, a death no longer ruled an accident. His sister, Amara's hands tremble as she scrolls through fragments on her phone. Half facts, leaked documents, speculation sharpened into accusation, corporate negligence, a construction site rushed to meet deadlines, a fall, a payout that silenced witnesses, a child quietly transferred into guardianship before questions could be asked. Jian. Her chest tightens painfully. She finds Han Wu on the rooftop above the parking structure, rain slicing down in relentless sheets. He stands at the edge, suit darkened, city lights blurring behind him. For once, the armor is gone. What remains is exhaustion carved deep into bone. So it's true, she says. He doesn't turn. Which part? All of it. Silence stretches, heavy and soaked. My sister knew the building was unsafe, he says finally. She begged them to stop. They didn't. She went anyway. His voice doesn't shake. That somehow hurts more. They called it an accident. He continues. I knew better. Amara steps closer, rain plastering her hair to her face. And the scandal. I buried it. And the people who tried to talk. I paid them. And Jian. His jaw tightens. I took him before they could. Amara's breath catches. The truth lands fully now, not as rumor, not as theory, but as something heavy and alive between them. You built everything on a lie, she says. I built it on survival. He snaps, finally turning to face her. You think I had choices. I think you took them, she fires back, for everyone else. The rain intensifies, drumming against concrete like a heartbeat. I protected him. Han Wu says, voice breaking for the first time. I protected my sister's child when the world was ready to tear him apart. And you didn't trust me enough to tell me. Amara says quietly, that's when it changes. Not anger, not accusation, hurt. He looks at her then, truly looks, and whatever he sees makes his shoulders sag. I didn't tell you, he says, softer now. Because everyone who gets close to me gets burned. Amara laughs once, sharp and wet. So you decided for me. She steps back. All this time. She continues. I thought you were afraid of losing control, but you were afraid of being known. That's the same thing, he says. No? She replies. It isn't. The city glows below them, uncaring. You made space for me on a bus, she says. You protected me without asking. And then you turned me into something you manage. That wasn't my intention. It was your habit. The word hits harder than any accusation. Jin's face flashes through her mind. The way he reaches for her hand, the way he trusts without knowing why. The way love slips in quietly and stays. I won't be another secret, she says. I won't be another thing you control to make yourself feel safe. Mara. She raises a hand, stopping him. You don't get to pull me closer every time you're afraid and push me away every time the truth shows up. Rain runs down her face, indistinguishable from tears. I care about you, she admits. And that's exactly why I have to leave. He steps toward her instinctively, then stops himself, like a man realizing too late that the ground has shifted. If you walk away, he says, voice raw, everything falls. She meets his gaze, steady despite the storm. Then it should. She turns. Each step away feels like tearing something out of her chest. But she doesn't slow. She doesn't look back. Behind her, sirens wail in the distance. Phones ring, voices rise. The world closes in on Han Wu at last. By morning, it's official. His contracts are frozen. His name dragged through public light. The board distances itself with rehearsed statements. Allies disappear. And Amara, she doesn't answer his calls. She rides the bus alone again. Rain streaks the windows. The city blurs. The seat stays empty, but this time, it doesn't save her. It hurts. But she stands anyway. Somewhere across the city, Han Wu watches everything he built collapse. His power. His silence. His careful distance. And the one person who saw him without fear. Gone. For the first time, he has lost both the world that made him untouchable and the woman who made him human. Han Wu stops fighting the fall. That is the first thing everyone notices. When the board summons him, they expect strategy, lawyers, silence, delays wrapped in polished language. They expect the man who has always known how to close doors before the wind gets in. Instead, he walks into the room alone. No legal team, no prepared statement. Just a folder placed carefully on the table. I'm not here to negotiate, he says. Voice steady despite the tension rippling through the room. I'm here to end this. They stare at him as if he's speaking another language. He opens the folder. Documents spill out like confession. Emails buried for years. Safety reports rewritten under pressure. Signatures that trace a chain of decisions leading back to one moment. One building. One fall. My sister died because deadlines mattered more than people. He continues. And I helped hide that. A murmur breaks loose. Shock. Fear. Relief sharpened into opportunity. He doesn't stop. I paid witnesses to disappear. I leveraged contracts to keep investigations closed. I used my power to make sure my nephew never became a headline. Someone demands to know why. Han Wu lifts his eyes. For the first time. There is nothing guarded in them. Because the truth doesn't stop hurting, just because you ignore it. By the end of the meeting, his empire is already dismantling itself. Contracts terminated. Positions surrendered. His name released to the very scrutiny he once controlled. Outside, reporters gather like a storm waiting to break. He walks into it. Cameras flash. Voices shout. Mr. Wu, are the allegations true? Did you obstruct justice? Was your sister's death covered up? He stops. Turns. Yes, he says into the noise. All of it. The crowd stills, stunned by the simplicity of the word. I was wrong. He continues. And I am responsible. Somewhere across the city, Amara watches the broadcast from a small break room at school. The sound muted, her hands clenched around a paper cup gone cold. She barely recognizes him. Not because he looks smaller, but because he looks unarmored. That afternoon, a message arrives from an unknown number. No explanation. Just a location. The old city square. She tells herself she won't go. She goes anyway. The square is crowded when she arrives. People lingering after the press conference. Curiosity buzzing in the air. At the center, a temporary platform has been set up, hastily arranged. Han Wu stands there, not elevated, exposed. He speaks without microphones at first, then louder as people turn, recognizing him. "I won't defend myself," he says. "I won't ask for forgiveness." A hush falls. "There is one person I need to face," he continues, scanning the crowd. Not searching wildly, but patiently, as if he trusts she will be there. Amara feels the moment he sees her. He steps down from the platform and walks toward her, through parted bodies, through whispers and disbelief. He stops a few feet away. Then, without hesitation, he kneels. The square erupts, gasps, phones raised, 1,000 interpretations forming instantly. But Han Wu doesn't look at anyone else. He looks only at Amara. "I spent my life controlling outcomes because I was afraid of loss," he says, voice clear despite the weight pressing in. "I protected what mattered by deciding for everyone else." Her chest tightens painfully. "I did that to you," he continues. "I turned care into control, silence into safety, and I was wrong." Rain begins to fall, light at first, then steady, blurring the edges of the world. "I don't deserve your trust," he says. "But I am asking for the chance to earn it. Not with power, not with protection." His voice drops. "With truth." Aji steps forward then, slipping out from behind a security barrier, small hand clutching a folded piece of paper. He walks straight to Amara and presses it into her palm. A drawing. 3 figures. No walls. No shadows. Han Wu looks up, startled. "I won't hide anymore," he says. "Even if it costs me everything." The square is silent now, the rain softening every sound. Amara's heart feels like it's splitting open. She looks at the man kneeling before her. The same man who once made space for her, without knowing her name. The same man who tried to decide what she could survive. She thinks of the bus. The empty seat. The child who trusted without fear. "You don't get to kneel to make this easier," she says quietly. He nods. "I know. You don't get to choose redemption and expect love to follow. I know that too." She exhales, slow and trembling. "But you showed up," she says. "And you told the truth when it hurt the most." She steps closer. Close enough that only he can hear her next words. "I don't know if loyalty can grow where control once lived." Hope flickers across his face. And fear just as quickly. "But," she adds, "I know it can't grow where lies remain." She reaches out. Not to lift him, not to forgive him, but to rest her hand briefly against his shoulder. A touch. Not a promise. The crowd releases a breath it didn't know it was holding. Han Wu rises slowly, understanding exactly what she has given him. Not love. A choice. As the rain falls harder, Amara steps back, Jian slipping his small hand into hers instinctively. Han Wu watches them, really watches, knowing this is the moment that will decide everything that comes after. Because now, for the first time, power means nothing. Only what he does next does. And Amara, she walks away again, but this time she doesn't disappear. She leaves him standing in the open, with no armor, no leverage. Just the chance to become someone worthy of staying. The morning was quiet, almost sacred, as the bus rolled along the familiar route. Raindrops streaked the windows, blurring the city into watercolor gray, yet inside, a warmth lingered where fear once lived. 3 seats together now held not strangers, not acquaintances, but a fragile, chosen family. Silence no longer carried tension, it carried presence. Yuna stared out the window, the cityscape mirrored in her eyes, and for the first time in months, she felt peace. The Korean man, once a symbol of intimidation, now knelt beside her. Not in dominance, but in apology and acknowledgement. Trust had been shattered, tested, and carefully rebuilt. Every harsh word, Every unexpected kindness had led them here. In a distant hallway, echoes of tears still lingered. Luxury had felt like a cage when hearts were fragile, and the child's small whisper, "Mum," still rang louder than any boardroom clash. The confrontation that once threatened to consume them had instead carved space for redemption. Power shifted from ego to empathy, from isolation to connection. Evenings brought quiet laughter, mornings brought shared coffee. The bus, once a vessel of fleeting strangers, had become the thread stitching them together. The 3 seats, a simple arrangement, symbolized a choice not to disappear, not to retreat from vulnerability, not to let fear define the narrative. Life had offered them raw moments of heartbreak and awe, but it had also offered a horizon wide enough for hope, wide enough for love. The story was no longer about what was lost, but about what had been intentionally built: trust, loyalty, and the courage to remain present. Shadows had lifted. Silence was no longer empty. Presence, finally, was home. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to Love and Loyalties and comment which couple you want next. Let them know that love, sometimes quiet, sometimes messy, is always worth choosing.